Now, in 12 days from now, Donald Trump, the president-elect, will be sworn in as the 47th American president. But as the days get closer, Donald Trump's territorial ambitions appear to be growing larger. And his statements have put several world leaders on the edge, quite literally, especially those in Canada, Panama, Greenland and Denmark. Now, many have this question on their mind: is Donald Trump trying to make America actually great, or is he just trying to make America greater territorially? Now, while speaking at a press conference in Palm Beach, Florida, the Republican leader doubled down on his statements in strengthening the U.S. control over territories and also nautical trade routes. Reinstating American control over the Panama Canal found a mention again on Tuesday.
The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it.
I reiterate what President Jose Raul Mulino has already stated. The sovereignty of our canal is non-negotiable, as it is part of our history of struggle and a permanent achievement.
Now, the Panama Canal is located on a major maritime trade route used by over 170 nations. Historically, the United States had maintained control over the canal since it opened in 1914 till 1979. And then the control of the Panama Canal was passed on to the Panama Canal Commission in 1979, and the country of Panama was granted complete control in the year 1999. Now, 25 years later, it's again become a major point of contention. Now, in the case of Greenland, Donald Trump has set his eyes on acquiring the island as part of greater American territory. Now, the obsession began during his very first term, but Trump has taken the rhetoric a notch ahead of his second term. His son, Trump Jr., is currently on a visit to Greenland and amidst pushback from the people of Greenland and the Danish government.
Hello to everyone in Greenland.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security.
Greenland is not for sale. The United States is our absolute closest ally, and we want to work closely with them in all defense and security questions. It is also regarding the North Atlantic, where tensions are rising. We have a clear interest in that it is the United States that plays a large role in the area and not, for example, Russia or other countries. But Greenland is for the Greenlandic people.
Now, Trump's tirade against Mexico is not new, but for the longest time his contention had slowly been limited to immigration. But now his latest comment has been about renaming the Gulf of Mexico, and the Mexican people are finding the remarks completely disrespectful.
But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Well, as a Mexican, I think that it is really wrong, because this neighboring country is always trying to get involved with us Mexicans. And as a Mexican, we ask for respect and that they do not interfere with our country.
And if that wasn't enough, there's also been a fresh round of social media war targeting Canada. Now, Trump posted an image of a map showing the Republic of Canada, a sovereign nation, as part of an American territory. Now, Canada's Justin Trudeau has, of course, reacted pretty strongly to Trump's remarks. Soon afterwards, Trump's closest ally and also the social media baron Elon Musk took a dig at Justin Trudeau and also referred to him as Governor Trudeau again. That's not all. Elon Musk went as far as to even misgender Justin Trudeau in his tweet. Give us more insights in terms of how all of this entire controversy is blowing up and being perceived inside Canada. We're joined by Mr. Harrison Faulkner, who's a journalist and also host of Ray Showed on True North. He's joining us on this broadcast live from Toronto in Canada. Mr. Faulkner, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. And let me start off by asking you this. This kind of very strident rhetoric on Canada, which is a sovereign republic nation. It's a very proud nation. It's a close ally of the United States of America. It's also a part of the Five Eyes alliance as it is described. With that being said, this kind of rhetoric that Canada can be the 51st state of the United States, referring to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau, how is this being perceived by the Canadian people then?
Well, the comments by Donald Trump are deeply upsetting to Canadians, and I think millions of Canadians find them, quite frankly, to be an insult to this country and to the people of this country. There was, for a time, some laughter, some humor that we could take at some of Donald Trump's taunts and jokes toward Justin Trudeau, but it didn't slow down. And actually, it only ramped up. After threatening to use military force to annex Greenland, Donald Trump then turned his focus to our country, as you've just shown. He described the Canada-U.S. border as an imaginary line, which he seeks to wipe out through economic force to annex this country. And then he again reiterated his desire to see Canada become the 51st state. So if there's anything Donald Trump has actually succeeded at so far with this increasingly expansionist and alarmist rhetoric here, it is that he has managed to unite Canadians. He has managed to reignite Canadian nationalism, and now you have a deeply divided parliament, a prorogued parliament, where liberals and conservatives are singing from the same hymn sheet. They are reiterating the fact that Canada is a proud, unique, constitutional monarchy, and our country will never become American.
Interesting, but you'll have to deal with Donald Trump for the next 4 years. And looking at the rhetoric that's coming in from Donald Trump and also his close aide, Elon Musk, how do you think the Canadians will, of course, try to get back at the Americans? Because quite frankly, a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump is suggesting, he's saying that Canada does not even have sovereignty and should be part of the United States of America.
Well, the way that you do this is you lean on Canada's strengths. Donald Trump has said for several weeks now that the United States subsidizes Canada, and that if Canada can't survive without the United States subsidizing the economy, which he claims to be upwards of $100 billion a year, well, then we would dissolve. He's wrong about that. It needs to be made clear as to what exactly is going on here and the nature of that trade relationship. And I'll explain how Canada can respond just in a second. The United States has given $32 million in financial aid to Canada. That's about the extent of the so-called subsidization of our country. What Donald Trump is not talking about is a trade deficit that his country has with Canada. Right. It's not $100 billion, it's $80 billion. The reason for that is because the United States purchases 4 million barrels of oil a day from Canada to keep its own country functioning. So how can Canada respond? Well, it's simple. Actually, we can respond back with our own retaliatory tariffs on oil, which would cripple the U.S. economy. It would put a big hole in Donald Trump's agenda because gas prices would go through the roof. Ontario, the biggest province, actually supplies energy to the northeastern states, Michigan, Ohio. Your audience will recognize that those states are swing states for the United States, for Donald Trump in particular. The Ontario could just shut off the lights for those states if we get into a trade war. It'll be a difficult few months for Canadians. But at the same time, what can we even do?
Interesting. We'll have to see as to have this relationship between the United States and Canada, which is often called one of the closest relationships, will progress in the next 4 years under Donald Trump within the United States. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Harris Faulkner, for joining us with that perspective there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.